Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Okay, so lately, as many of you already know, there's been this massive outcry against the ongoing Christian genocide in Nigeria, which I believe almost every Nigerian is aware of. All right. Now, it started at the time that an American comedian and journalist, Bill Maher, raised alarm.
You don't know what's going on in Nigeria. Your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Over 100,000 Christians have been killed since 2009, and nobody's paying attention to that. And everybody's focused on Gaza, 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 Gaza. And when that happened, everybody, almost all over the world, people began to talk about the Christian genocide that is taking place in Nigeria, which up until that time has been so underreported in the Nigerian media for very obvious reasons. So when that went around, senators in the United States of America began to speak up. Ted Cruz actually literally carried it on his head and made it a personal duty to make sure that Nigeria is disciplined. And what he meant by discipline is that Nigeria is designated again, because during the first term of President Donald Trump, Nigeria was also designated for the same reason. And I remember that when Buhari was interviewed, Buhari basically confessed, you can look it up in the media, he confessed that Donald Trump looked him in the face and asked him, why are you killing Nigerian Christians? So this is not the first time the talk about designating Nigeria over religious persecution against Christians has been brought up. But this time around, the outrage, the outcry has been far more widespread than even before. And so when that happened, you would expect that the Nigerian government would basically come out and explain to the global community, this is what we are doing. This is the efforts we have made. This is what we have put in place to make sure that this thing is addressed. But no, what we saw from the Nigerian government was unbelievable amount of defensive mechanisms. They began to send all their guys, all those paid e-minions, like I call them, all of them began to attack anyone who spoke up in favor of the senators from America who are saying that Christians are being genocidally eliminated in Nigeria. So anybody who spoke against this genocide, they will attack you online, which basically explains why many churches and pastors and preachers and GOs are not joining the outcry and the campaign that is gaining so much momentum on the international scene. Now, in a bid to actually deflect from what is happening on ground, the Nigerian government made a move that would eventually undo them. That move was that they used one of their agents working through the office of the National Security Advisor to go and invite people from the United States of America into Nigeria so they can come on a fact-finding mission, because they wanted people who would come in and say, oh guys, we have gone around the whole country, we've spoken to the Muslims, we've spoken to Christians, we've spoken to politicians and everybody. We can tell you that there is nothing like Christian genocide in Nigeria. Everybody gets killed. They kill Muslims, they kill Christians. Nobody has ever said that they don't kill Muslims, but we are saying that Christians are predominantly being eliminated, and it is very systematic, and it fits every description in the books for genocide. And this has been going on for such a long time. Unfortunately for them, the people they brought to come and make their case for them ended up making our case for us.
We have here some Americans on a fact-finding mission, and I'll introduce them. This is Mayor Mike Arnold, Republican elected mayor of the city of Blanco in Texas. And this is Jeff Gibbs, filmmaker, prominent filmmaker from the US. And beside me, I have the Secretary General of Jamaatul Nasr Islam. You might be wondering, why is Khan not here? We did meet with Khan. The fact finders met with Khan before they met with GNI, and that it was important to me. Before they came here, the fact finders actually briefed Senator Ted Cruz and Congressman Chip Roy, and when they go back, they will be taking the truth to the American policymakers. Now, without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to Mayor Mike Arnold, who's going to address you on their findings so far.
That is the character that all of you know already, who is basically representing the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in this whole matter. He it was who invited these guys. But I want you to look on the screen. You can see the body language of Mike Arnold when he was saying a few things that Mike Arnold probably didn't agree with. Mike Arnold was very uncomfortable, which means the guy is lying about something, and you're going to find that out in the next clip, because Mike Arnold is about to address that.
I do want to give you clarification on a couple things. We've been a little bit rushed. I'm Mayor Mike Arnold, like Goodluck Jonathan is President Goodluck Jonathan. I completed my term a few months ago. I'm not the current seated mayor of the city of Blanco. I just didn't want any misunderstanding there. I am not a personal friend of Ted Cruz. I met him once about 10 years ago when I at an event, and he was going down the line and I shook his hand. So I know people in his office, but I'm not a personal friend. Also, and while I may tend to vote for Republican candidates, I haven't been involved in a political party in about 30 years. I'm really not a political person. In fact, the mayor's job for my town in Texas, like a lot of towns, is not a partisan position. Nobody knows what party. It's a small town, and we fix roads and schedule parades and things like that. So just wanted to clarify those things. I'm not a politician. I have a little family construction company that for my livelihood. I am not beholden to any political party here or there. I'm an independent voice, and I just wanted to make sure that that's established.
He first of all had to address some misconceptions and some things that he believed were lies that are being told against him. First of all, I am not a current seated mayor of Blanco in Texas. In other words, calling me a mayor and letting the whole world look at me as if I am a seated current mayor is a lie. I am not. I stopped being a mayor a few months ago. He had to address that neatly. Apparently, they've been going around the whole place telling everybody that this guy is Ted Cruz's friend, that he was a Republican this and that, a Trump party guy and blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, no, Ted Cruz, I met him only once and we shook hands and that was it. I'm not beholden to any political party. I'm not even a politician. I'm just a guy doing my business. I'm here in my own capacity as an independent. He had to clear that. So that explains his body language when that guy who is affiliated with the Nigerian government was talking.
When all of this information about a Christian genocide in Nigeria began, actually the first mention of that started on September 26th. I just reached out because the feeling back home is that it was an agenda against Nigeria, it was propaganda against Nigeria, it was to undermine Nigeria. But I just felt that the people who were saying these things, they meant well, and the reason why they were saying it is because they did not have the right information.
You heard what he said, that a lot of people believed that the reason why the international community is having such a massive outcry, coordinated outcry against Christian genocide in Nigeria was because they wanted to undermine the presidency. And this is basically what is reigning all over Nigeria. Even so-called activists, so-called influencers are beginning to buy into that, and they are promoting it, saying, oh, this is Zionist related. Oh, this is American government trying to meddle in the affairs of Nigeria. Oh, they want to bring boots on ground because of what happened during the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. We know what happened during the Bring Back Our Girls thing. The difference between that and now is at that time, President Goodluck Jonathan was fighting Boko Haram to a standstill. He was literally looking for weapons from everywhere. He went to America. Obama's America refused to give him weapons. He even went to Israel. Obama administration made sure that the people they went to meet in Israel didn't sell weapons to them. So he was trying to handicap the guy and still blaming him for Boko Haram attack. Meanwhile, that was the only regime since Boko Haram was born, since they showed up in Nigeria, the only regime that ever fought Boko Haram to a standstill. They unleashed their dogs, their mainstream media dogs showed up in Nigeria. BBC, CNN, all of them showed up in the north, began to claim erroneously that the president was killing innocent people. Meanwhile, he was actually bombing and killing Boko Haram. And that was when we knew that the globalists, the deep state, was at war with the regime then in Nigeria, which was Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's regime. That was why we said, no, you are using Bring Back Our Girls to come and put boots on ground, because they were planning to bring African boots. And many African countries were wary of having African boots on ground. They said, no, Nigeria has one of the biggest and strongest militaries in Africa. Why would you bring your boots on ground, 100 and something personnel from the U.S. Army, because of 100 and something girls that were kidnapped, or whatever number of girls that were kidnapped? No, we can handle that. Just give us the weapons we need, and we will go after these guys. We will kill them. We will get the girls back. We will do this, do that. So people basically felt that the whole Bring Back Our Girl thing, the whole kidnap thing that happened, was an American inspired or at least supported operation. In this case, that's what all these baby activists who don't know what intelligence research is about, that's what they thought was happening, because they say the Nigerian vice president went to United Nations and spoke up for Palestine. So that was why Israel got angry and now decided, okay, we're going to show you, we're going to now expose you, blah, 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 blah. And this was going on all over Nigeria. And I'm like to these guys, look, even if this is the situation, even if Israel has now said, okay, I'm going to go with my ally America to expose you, what they are exposing, is it a lie? And these guys are not even talking about bringing boots on ground in Nigeria. They're saying, let Nigeria be designated, so that gives US the opportunity to begin to administer sanctions and begin to place a bunch of limitations in the path of Nigeria accessing certain military grade weaponry from the United States of America, because US is an ally of Nigeria. This is what they want to do. But these people are comparing it to what happened before. How can you compare it to what happened under Jonathan, when this particular administration in Nigeria has not made any effort at actually killing the terrorists? Rather, what we see all over the place is that the evil program they started, they call Repentant Boko Haram, has continued under this administration. We have now seen that thing has even gotten to another level, where terrorists that are fully armed with RPGs, AK-47s, and all manner of military-grade weaponry, that they are being invited to a peace talk with the government of the day. Are you kidding me? They are parading their weapons. They had one peace talk some time ago somewhere in the north. Just a week after that or two, they now had another massive one in Katsina, where hundreds of terrorists, fully armed, majestically rode into a center to have peace talks with the regime elements. How can you say that this is the same thing that happened when President Jonathan was in power? This is what has confused a lot of Nigerians. And because of that, they began to deny that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria. Even people who claim to be Christians.
This is my 16th trip to Nigeria. My first was in 2010, and I was accompanied a fellow who became my papa, my mentor, Professor John Ofebu. He lived in the United States, but he was a very proud Nigerian. He loved this country. He gave his life for this country. And in fact, this will shock most Nigerians. He was offered U.S. citizenship on multiple occasions, and he always turned it down. I don't know any Nigerians that would do that. I know people that would kill for that, but to turn it down, because he didn't want any split loyalties. He lived and he passed away about 11 years ago as a proud Nigerian. We crisscrossed this country over several years together, and I grew to love the country too, and the people, and have great hope for it. I consider this my second home.
Mike Arnold mentioned a man. He said his name is Professor John Ofebu. I'm sure he's talking about Professor John Ofebu. an Igbo man, who became his mentor, became his father. He said this is the man he accompanied to Nigeria on his first trip, and he has gone to so many places in Nigeria. This man loved Nigeria so much, the Igbo man, that they offered him US citizenship multiple times. He rejected it. But look who is sitting beside Mike Arnold. This guy is known to almost every Igbo person alive as probably the worst enemy of the Igbo nation, who has on multiple occasions, using his social media handles, advocated and incited, subliminally incited violence against Igbo people. But look who you brought to come and do your dirty dealings in Nigeria. A guy who has an Igbo man, or had an Igbo man as his mentor.
When I was invited on this, I sent a message. I said, what is expected of me? And the answer was, message back, just tell the truth. And so that's what I'm here to do. It's not an easy thing. I told my host that probably lose some friends today. It's a formal statement on widespread violence and displacement in Nigeria. One of the contributors that's listed is U.S. Ambassador Louis Luck. Spent considerable time, and he's done a lot of work. He was an ambassador to Swaziland. He was also the #1 person in charge of rebuilding Iraq after the war, #1 guy in charge of rebuilding Haiti after the earthquake, and former board member of the World Food Program. So he has stature. He's put his name on here. There are other experts that value the privacy in this day of social media, but if any journalist wants to dig deeper, I'd be happy to make personal connections with any of my sources. So you can, if you don't trust me, maybe you can do your own digging. That's what I encourage everybody to do. Don't ever take anybody's word for anything.
Mike is trying to let everybody understand that what he's about to read to the press in Nigeria is not something that he just grabbed in the air, or something he just made up, or something he wrote out of sheer sentimentalism. He's giving you names. He's telling you that a former US ambassador to Swaziland, somebody who helped to rebuild Iraq after the Iraq War, and Haiti after the earthquake, a very prominent guy of worth, decided to put his name. This is one of the many prominent people he had interviewed. This is how you do proper research. Not hearsay, not AI generated, not grok. This is proper one. He met with them. And this man, apart from the other ones who decided that they didn't want their names to be out in the open, and he said, if you want to talk to those ones, I can reach out to them and make you go see them so you can hear directly from them, including 2 former presidents of Nigeria, which he's going to mention much later. He's saying, these guys are credible, so when I read out what I'm about to read out to you, you need to understand that these are coming from credible sources, and not just from those sources. I myself have been personally involved in this.
I was personally invited here today by Reno Omokri, and I got a call last Sunday morning, unexpected, from Reno Omokri. He was on the line with the National Security Advisor. Invited me to on this fact-finding trip and to come give a report. The sole stated written charge given to me for this trip is simply to meet certain key people and then declare the truth. I know what's at stake and take this very seriously.
You heard Mike saying, this is who invited me here. And he was standing right there with the National Security Advisor of Nigeria, Ribadu, when the phone call was put across to him. And they told him to come to Nigeria on a fact-finding mission. Just so we are clear on that particular fact. They invited him to Nigeria to come and find facts, and he has found the fact. And it's unfortunate that the facts that he has found, everyone is making serious effort to sweep it under the carpet. Let's proceed.
This statement is my formal account and analysis of facts, findings, and first-hand documentation of widespread claims of widespread violence, displacement, and atrocity crimes in Nigeria, primarily directed against Christian populations in the North and Middle Belt claims, and whether this rises to the level of genocide. I've interviewed governors, cabinet ministers, traditional rulers, 2 former presidents of high standing, and others. I have met orphans whose parents were hacked to death. I've helped them. I've built schools in internally displaced persons, IDP camps, and documented over 80 hours of filmed testimony and evidence at great personal risk, soon to be released in our documentary film, Me and Miss Hantu. My findings carry the weight of direct personal experience. Nigeria in 2010, a nation at peace. In 2010, Nigeria was a beacon of rising prosperity and religious tolerance, often cited as the only country where radical Islam was being pushed back. Attacks were rare and sparked national outrage. Recognized IDPs were effectively zero, with only minimal displacement from localized communal conflicts. A stark contrast to the crisis that followed, marked by a 1,200% surge in IDPs the very next year, 2011, due to Boko Haram's escalation. The prior absence of displacement crisis is both verifiable and damning, because today there's not an accurate count, because I know we have schools and camps that the governments of the world, including Nigerian government, deny exist. So the quoted figures of 3 to 4 million internally displaced people is clearly low. And I've heard numbers as many as, in fact, the first time we talked, you said 9 million.
This can make your heart literally stop. He's saying exactly what I said earlier. The 2010 Nigeria, there were 0 ID camps anywhere in the country. Nigeria became the only country that was effectively eliminating terrorists, which is what I told you about the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan regime, because he came to power at 2010. But then Boko Haram showed up the very next year, and the man is telling you that the rise in IDPs went 1,200%. You gotta be kidding me. And he said these are documented. Boko Haram started functioning in 2011, I believe, and was officially declared a terrorist organization in 2013. Can you imagine that? And by 2015, Buhari came to power. Boom, few months after he came to power, they launched the Repentant Boko Haram program. And he's telling you that all that 3 to 4 million people in refugee camps is completely understated. He said there are way more. And now he turned to this character, this Reno guy, and said, remember the first time we spoke? Because this person, as so many people have now proven, used to speak up against Christian genocide until he showed his loyalty to this regime. So he turned to him and said, remember the first time we spoke? You told me 9 million. 9 million. Can you imagine when that was? And today, they are making the whole world believe that from 9 million, it has gone down to 3 to 4 million when the situation had gotten worse. I don't understand how that works. What kind of math is that? Let's go forward.
What has changed since then? By 2014, Nigeria's stability was shattered. Foreign meddling, including US involvement, played a pivotal role in the 2015 election, enabling regime change that emboldened actors who ignored or enabled extremist violence. High-placed eyewitness testimony confirms this interference, with firms like Cambridge Analytica further skewing the political landscape. Radical jihadist elements fueled by foreign fighters from Libya and Sahel, post-2011 Arab Spring, many who say were invited, not invaded at that stage, flooded into Nigeria, amplifying Boko Haram and ISWAP. Today, over 4 million Nigerians are displaced, a very conservative estimate.
So here, I need you to please pay attention to me.